Just got off a call with a coaching client who told me that his wife had cheated on him. And obviously it wrecked him. They just hit their 20-year anniversary. And they've been trying to make it work. They've been going to couples counseling. He has been trying to learn about nervous system and emotions and emotional intelligence. He's frustrated that he doesn't see any progress happening on her side. And it was so interesting because during the midst of the call, he's talking about how he needs to see progress on her side, even remorse, right? Totally agree. Like if you do something that hurts somebody else that you love and have been with for 20 years, you would think remorse would be on there, but what is remorse, right? That can look different to different people. And he had mentioned kind of early on in the call that he was saying this to her, that he needed to see progress. And that, is she in on this or not? I think they had just had this conversation yesterday. Like, are you all in or not? And she was like, I'm just trying to protect myself. And he's like, no, you can't be protecting yourself. You either need to be all in or not, because I don't, again, he needs clarity on what's happening here in the relationship, because they've been separated for several months and like this all exploded earlier on in the year and it's just been dragging out. And what was interesting as we're working through the coaching conversation, I asked him, because I was having him check in on how he experiences knowing what his intuition versus what is fear. Because part of what happens when betrayal or infidelity is at play is that you absolutely lose trust in yourself and then you become super hyper vigilant on everything being a betrayal, all these secrets. And what had come up in their couples session was something along the lines of, she didn't tell him that their son had put in his 2 weeks at work. And he said that was unacceptable to him, which the couples therapist challenged him on that word. But regardless, when we peel back the layers of why that was unacceptable, it's because A, he misses his kids, obviously. His kids are older, but it was more so that he noticed that she was withholding information, whether she was intentionally doing it or not. His body and his nervous system is trying to pick up on threats constantly. And it has him walking on eggshells and just living in a life he doesn't feel safe in. And so I said, okay, let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 100, how sure are you if your son called you and said he needed you right now that you wouldn't drop everything and go wherever he was? And he said 150. I'm like, oh, well, so you're like super confident that if your son called you right now and said, I need you, Dad, you'd be there? Yeah, 150%. I would be there. Like, no doubt, no question. I'm like, cool. Now just notice there's no doubt and resistance to that. Okay. And then I asked him, on a scale of 1 to 100, how all in are you on your relationship and trying to repair it? And he's like, well, okay. And I said, oh, are the thoughts spiraling? He's like, no, but like, if I'm being honest, I'm like 50-50. Like I've given it till the end of the year, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, now we have a timeline on it. Okay. And he's like, well, really like 40-60. And I'm like, isn't that interesting that you are expecting her to choose you and not protect herself, but you're unwilling to do that? Oh, there's no right or wrong, good or bad in that. But he is expecting her to do something he's unwilling to do, which may have played out in their marriage multiple times. And so I said, regardless of whether she chooses to work on the relationship, regardless of whether the outcome is a healthy relationship or you guys get divorced, that's irrelevant right now. What you should be focusing on is, can I be proud of myself, of how I'm showing up as a man right now? Do I want to be a man who's 40-60 in this relationship but expects her to be 100-100? Or do I want to be a man who chooses one way or the other and commit to that? There's no right or wrong. Right? But in these seasons where we lack trust in ourselves because of other people's behavior and responses, sure, fine. Usually when there is infidelity at play, the person who gets cheated on usually has an indication that something is off. Now, they may not know exactly what it is. He had a feeling something was going on for a long period of time. But that's where the trust gets broken. It's like, my nervous system was telling me there was something wrong and I didn't have the skills or the tools or the ability to communicate or a partner who was forthcoming to be able to trust that what was going on was accurate, that I didn't trust myself. And that's a lot of where the betrayal and like the broken trust with yourself needs to be repaired before we ever focus on the relationship. And so it was really beautiful how receptive and how coachable he was of like, wow, I really am asking her to do something I'm not even willing to do right now. I need to sit with that to decide whether I'm in or not, right? Not because you're 100% in to try and like manipulate her to being 100% in. No, we cannot control what another person thinks, behaves, believes, does, right? He's already recognized that they had a lot of codependent tendencies in their relationship. I said, I want you to show up as a man you're proud of. Right? Not one who is reactive out of fear or vindictive or, trying to stick it to her. How do you want to show up? What is it you would be most proud of yourself for a year from now and how you showed up today? Let's just start with that. What do you want to decide on today? Are you all in today or are you not? Right? Tomorrow you can make a different decision, but let's just focus on one day at a time so that you can start to rebuild trust with yourself first. You cannot have trust in somebody else when you don't have trust in yourself, right? And then we kind of got into this conversation about when you have a low level of self-worth, or your self-worth is dependent on how somebody else feels, yet you feel like you're never good enough because the goalpost keeps moving. Guess who's moving the goalpost? You are. If you do not believe that you're worthy and deserving of healthy reciprocal love, then you're the one who actually is moving the goalpost because you're performing for love, yet it's never good enough because you're identifying evidence of ways in which you're not good enough. It's a really advanced concept, but oftentimes when we place our self-worth on our partner's happiness or a partner choosing us, happiness is an emotion, right? I don't know if you've been with women lately, but we have hormones. So our happiness, our feelings change at least weekly, but throw in a whole bunch of other life and whatever stressors. If you're basing your happiness on how happy we are, if you're basing your self-worth on what we feel that day, good fucking luck, right? You can't. That's why you're miserable, because it is a moving target. It is literally a moving target in us. We don't know how we feel each day. Right? So if you're depending your self-worth and your value as a man, depending on how happy we are, you're playing a losing battle. I will tell you that right now. Stop doing that, right? Stop trying to make us happy. Go be happy yourself. Let us be happy and we can be happy together, but you're not responsible for her happiness. Okay? So that's getting into a whole other tangent. But all in all, he did a great job. He was super open and coachable, and he's actually going to go figure out if he's all in or not and what that actually means, because it sounds nice in theory. Are you all in? What is the actions, behaviors, beliefs that somebody who's all in takes? And are you willing to take those? If you're not, great. Let's have the adult conversation of how we end this so that we're creating minimal disruption to the children that are involved in this, that we don't have to have bitterness and resentment. We just recognize this is no longer going to serve us and we need to go our separate ways to heal from this and move on and, have some resemblance of a peaceful life. Or we're going to go all in this. We know that we're going to, that was another thing too. I said, I don't think the goal in life is happiness. Sorry to break it to you. I don't. I think the goal in life is that, if you want to be in partnership, that you have somebody to go through life with. And guess what? You guys are lifing right now, right? So if things get hard, are we going to tap out? No judgment if you are. Are we going to think this is part of life that's teaching me a lesson that I get to go learn about myself? Cool. Then maybe we might have a little bit of gratitude for even the pain that comes along with it. Because pain serves a purpose, and I choose to live in a life where we can learn from pain rather than keep cycling pain and feel like pain has no purpose, in which case life has no purpose. Can't avoid pain. Life be lifing. But you can't have it have a purpose where you become a better version of yourself and you fall in love with yourself so that you stop settling for unhealthy communication, ineffective partners. People just treat you like crap. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one that's up here. You get to decide what happens next. So if you can figure out what the next right thing is, great. If you need help with that, hit me up in the DMs.